Hello there. Welcome back to the Sky Guys podcast. We are covering chapter 6 of The Mandalorian as we revisit season 1 of The Mandalorian this summer, getting us ready here. This is our final episode in August here. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Phillips. With me, as always, the man whose voice you hear in the narration every single week, Pete Consadori is here. Pete, how are you?
Doing well. Yeah, excited to see what you guys think about this next chapter. We've been having a good discussion about the recap so far. So as always, just ready to talk about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, Nick Frietta got stuck on the Republic prison ship, so he cannot make it with us here today. But we do have a great guest with us, back for the first time since the KOTOR coverage. Max Rausch here. Max, how are you?
Mike, good to see you and Pete. Interesting to go from the old Republic to the new Republic. Quite the change of pace, but happy to revisit the Mandalorian as well.
Yeah, we gave Max his choice of episodes. Max said, "This is the one I want." So we'll see if Max is happy about his choice today.
Yeah, we shall see.
Absolutely here. And Pete wants subscribers in the Sky Guys. You can do so on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, Amazon, all usual suspects. Simply search for the Sky Guys for your podcast platform. Full episodes there. And just a few weeks left in revisiting season 1 of The Mandalorian. We have some fun stuff planned. So make sure you're subscribed for the journey through the fall.
Yeah, make sure you're subscribed. We say it every week. It's free at Sky Guys Podcast pretty much everywhere. And also make sure if you haven't transferred over to the new YouTube, I don't know what you've been listening to, at least for the video version, but yeah, make sure on the new YouTube channel.
Yep. And Max, you remember from the KOTOR days, how do you follow us on social media?
It's at Sky Guys Podcast and Sky Guys Pod at gmail.com, right?
Yep, very good. You nailed it.
Right. Good memory.
It is good memory here. And we're also going to go to our social media comment of the week here. This is this is on TikTok here. And it's talking about we talked about a few weeks about the Andor situation, about the show gaining viewership over the course of its run. Arctic says word of mouth does a lot more for gains in movies than people realize. And Ner also is not just good for Star Wars, it's actually good and word spread. So Pete, we're so you're right. The word of mouth definitely pushed this show up.
I mean, yeah, this is going to sound maybe controversial. I think that's a pretty general idea, right? I think word of mouth brings up a lot of different things. So I think inherently they're right? I mean, like anything that you hear from a friend or a recommendation you hear from a friend, whether it's a movie, a TV show, a car, an item, you're gonna hold it a higher regard maybe than something that you're hearing, maybe from us or, maybe from some reviews that you read online. So inherently, I think that's a spot on comment, a little generalized, but yeah, I agree with it. It's not wrong.
Yeah, and Max, I don't know if you were a big movie guy. You were aware of the phenomenon with Sinners in the spring.
I was not. Well, what is that?
That's a movie that came out. It was rated by Ryan Coogler, starred Michael B. Jordan in a dual role, basically like a stealth vampire movie set in like in the South in the 1930s, I believe, and like did tremendous numbers off people saying it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I think publicity is a really useful thing, right?
Yep.
Especially for shows that might otherwise fall under the radar, or that you think, oh, this is just some insular Star Wars thing, and it actually has broader appeal.
Yeah, I would agree here. And since Nick is not here, I'll cover his news for the week here. And the big thing we got the Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Season 2 trailer here. Pete, big reaction to the trailer.
You want my honest opinion?
Sure.
I didn't watch the trailer. Totally missed it. We have a group chat a little behind the scenes where things are sent, and I got to be honest, I miss about 95% of that group chat just because of everything else. So next week or following week, whenever, when I get to it, I will let you know. But I am excited for the show.
Yeah, and Max, there's some interesting stuff in here. You get some character reveals in this trailer here. We got Alan Tudyk is back voicing K2SO. Cameron Monaghan is in here as Cal Kestis. It's the first show appearance here. Billy D. Williams as the Landolorian with Grogu, which is, I think that's a pun from the Lego Star Wars holiday special, if I remember correctly.
I was actually not even aware that this trailer was out either. So this is a sequel to the movie Rebuild the Galaxy?
Yeah, it was a Rebuild the Galaxy was a four like episode season basically last year. Then the toys sold well, so they made more.
Yeah, I remember I liked I liked the Rebuild the Galaxy. I guess I thought it was a movie, but maybe it was just a four-part series. But I liked that. Thought it was interesting.
Yeah,
So it's cool they're doing a sequel to it, and I guess they're adding some more like Clone Wars and expanded universe type characters. Cal Kestis is very interesting. That's the first non-video game appearance of him.
yep, absolutely here. And one that will definitely ping on your radar here. Lego Darth Revan was spotted in the trailer. So like this is the first time that we get Darth Revan in anything other than the video game or the follow-up novels.
Wow, they are making him canon officially, or even more so.
He's a canon adjacent right now, I would say.
Yeah, canon adjacent, but he's coming along.
Yeah. Pete, I think it's interesting with some of these drops we have here of these like I guess Cameron Monaghan Cal Kestis is canon, but like we haven't seen outside a video game, and Revan is in canon, but we've not actually been physically seen, I think, technically. So interesting I feel like we're using Lego here to test the water, see if we get like a lot of appeal on these characters.
I agree. I don't know if it's a good strategy because I don't know how many, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure kids are going to be watching this, but I don't know how many of the Star Wars adults that are not Lego fans are going to be watching this. I will be because I'm a Lego fan and I thought the first season was really, really good. So it'll be interesting. Maybe the kids show if it if the kids watch it, the parents will watch it, and if they're Star Wars fans, it'll kind of be again word of mouth or it's on the screen, so they'll see it. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think putting these characters into the Lego universe is good, but we'll see what the numbers show when that season comes out.
Yeah, I will say on the parent front here, like, well, if you're a Star Wars fan who has kids, wants to get your kids into the Star Wars like right away, this is a very easy like barrier like, entry point for them.
It's really dangerous because
Yeah.
kids are going to want the Lego sets, and they're expensive.
Yes, that's true. We discussed this last week.
Yeah, it's going to be
Isn't
very
that what a lot
dangerous.
of kid shows are? Selling the merchandise.
Yeah, just as my collection of Power Rangers action figures back in the day.
Well, even just like the regular Star Wars action figures, they had action figures for every minor character in the movies.
Yep. A lot of like you could like go spend a lot of money on those action figures. And we'll go to the next news out here. She's also interested to Max that we have Jendi Tartakovsky, the creator of Clone Wars '03, has said that he is interested in going to do a Star Wars live action project if he can bring Asajj Ventress into live action. So Max, thoughts on this potential idea?
That's pretty cool. Obviously, wow, this is hitting all my notes today. I was a pretty big fan of Clone Wars '03, and so I'd be interested in seeing more from him. Um, I guess they would be. I don't know how. Tales of the Outcast. That was the Asajj Ventress one.
Outlaws.
Was that Outlaws? There we go.
Underworld, sorry. Outlaws the video game.
Yeah. I don't know how well that was received, so I don't know what the appetite is amongst the fan base for Asajj Ventress, but obviously she's popular enough to get a spin-off show like that. So I think having like an Ahsoka style live action would be cool.
Pete, any thoughts here? I feel like to me, like this is too niche.
I think to me, I don't think Asajj Ventress's Tales of the Underworld was very strong. And I feel like that probably should have been litmus test to see if that character would do well live action. I'm sure if that show does come out, I'm sure it's going to be very interesting for me, for you guys. But like you said, it's kind of niche. You're really starting to push limits. I will say that it at least moves away from the characters we know and love, and that's something that we've complained about Star Wars for years, about how we just keep getting the same characters over and over again. So, if we're gonna do something like that, I can't complain too much considering we've been asking for something fresh and new.
I will also add, Max, on that front. I feel like that the Ventress storyline we got in Tales of the Underworld, I don't think we would be big fans of this direction they went for a live action show. So, like, I'm not gonna
Hmm.
spoil you. I'll let you watch it for yourself and make that decision. But like, we were not big fans of the Ventress storyline over here.
All right. Well, I mean, I again, I don't know how popular she is widespread. I think she's an interesting character. But if the storyline isn't good and that's sort of the reaction of the fan base, then maybe this isn't the best live action project. But I would still be interested in seeing more from Tartakovsky. I thought the Clone Wars '03 was great. The action sequences are great. I think you could translate that into some really interesting live action stuff.
Yep, absolutely. And the last piece of news here is that recently Hayden Christensen actually threw out the first pitch at a Chicago Cubs game, and he had to choose jersey number 66 for his jersey. So playing into all the puns.
It's pretty great
Yeah.
for him. We was actually, it was a funny story. One of my coworkers, she watched the episode 4 for the first time, and she was afraid to say whether she had a huge crush on Hayden Christensen growing up. She was like, I don't know what his reaction is in the fan base right now. I was like, no, I think he's been redeemed. Everyone really likes him. So I'm glad he's like basking in the renaissance,
Yeah.
his portrayal.
Yeah, P. I do feel like we're in the everybody loves Hayden Christensen now, period. I feel like everybody's back on board with him.
Yeah, I think that and we discussed it ad nauseum, but yeah, I agree. I agree. He's back on board. I mean, I think I always loved Hayden Christensen as Anakin. But I know he didn't have his popular moments back then, but now, like Max said, the kind of the renaissance of this, the uplifting of him has been phenomenal. So he's getting his flowers, and rightfully so.
All right, that's it for the news this week. We'll go on to Chapter 6, The Prisoner. Little few notes here on the episode before we dive deeper into it. Directed by Rick Famuyiwa, the second episode of the season with Rick Famuyiwa directs it, and he actually is in this episode later on. I'll talk about that. We get a episode dropped on Disney Plus on December 13th, 2019. Sixth episode of the season here. So Max, general thoughts on this episode, which is our third sort of standalone adventure here we get in the middle of season one.
First of all, my perspective on this. Obviously, I've watched the whole Mandalorian show. When I was rewatching this, I didn't watch episodes 1 through 5, so I just jumped into this, kind of remembering what happened. Um, I mean, I thought it was a good episode. It's very the atmosphere is very tense. I think it's a good showcase of kind of how badass the Mandalorian is in terms of his ability to fight and to maneuver. Um, I don't know that it does necessarily anything to advance the overall plot of the show. It's just kind of, and they don't really flesh into the backstory of like the Mandalorian's crew before he went off on his own. Like they allude to it, but it's a good showcase of just like, man, this guy's cool. Kind of like Boba Fett. Just, man, this guy's cool. And you almost get, I forgot about this. You like almost get Grogu using his force powers for the first time, which was pretty cool. Or no, not the first time. What are we even talking about with the Rhino? He like almost used his force power to like choke out the droid.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, and Pete, I will say I remember this episode, like I remember sort of as the horror movie episode of Mandalorian where like he's like especially the back half of the episode, I still have the visual burn in my brain of the cuts alien predator style of him like sneaking up behind Mayfeld in the corridor where the like flash is blinking red. Like that stuff was cool. I could see why like in the long run it's not necessary because I think only really take from this episode forward is Mayfeld, but like I still had a good time.
No, I think this episode was shot beautifully, and I think the elements that make this episode the way it is makes it a great TV episode or a show episode. Not necessarily a good Mandalorian episode. And we'll discuss it a little bit, and we'll talk about my thoughts about this episode probably a little bit later on when we start grading it.
All right, for sure. So, what we've been doing here, Max, is sort of like we just throw. It's everybody's watched this episode at this point. If you've been this far out, 6 years down the line here, so I'll throw to you here. What's something you want to discuss from this episode?
Now, this is the first appearance of Bill Burr's character, right? Doesn't he make an appearance again in season 2?
Yes, he's in season 2 in the penultimate episode.
There's like some sarcastic, like, doesn't he like not like Star Wars, and so they kind of casted him ironically?
Yeah, yeah. I remember like Bill Burr was like sort of like it was just yeah. The story according to the wiki here is that he's not a fan of Star Wars. He ran into John Favreau at a birthday party. He was offered a role in the Mandalorian at the birthday party.
Well, I don't know. He does a good job. Do you think what Pete was saying, the cinematography is really well done? And there is this like tenseness to the entire episode. Mandalorian's dialogue with I forget what that actor's name is, but the guy with the Quentin, like with the big beard, is very tense. With his crew is very tense, and like the him maneuvering through the vents in the ship and the combat with all the different crew members. It's I mean, it's not like Alien, but it's sort of like Alien. It's just there's like this. It does a really good job of like keeping you, I think, engrossed in the course of the episode. But I am curious, Pete, you said it's not a good Mandalorian episode, so that raises two questions for me. One, what do you think is a good Mandalorian episode in terms of the elements? And two, why does this one fit?
Um, I ever since watching Andor, I feel like Andor is how Star Wars shows should go from now on. I think it's very successful, and I think that the story-driven, non-filler, full shows, Andor did it with 12 episodes, Mando's only doing it with 8. That's kind of the mold. And I think that if we ever to take Mando, and I said this before, and we take this and compare it to other shows, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, Acolyte, with the amount of non-storyline driven episodes that we've gotten in this show so far, probably 4 episodes worth, which is half a season, we'd be like, we got 4 episodes of what actually happens in The Mandalorian. So that's where I say that this is not a good Mandalorian episode. We get the elements. We have Mando, we have Grogu, we have the characters. It is shot beautifully. The action's intense. Like you had mentioned, there's a lot of tension in the episode. And it makes for good television and it makes a good TV episode technically. But for the Mandoverse and to drive this season home, this season to me is only 4 episodes long. You only need 4 episodes. You need the first two and you need the last two. Everything in between is kind of very like, oh, we're just here and Grogu's with me. And that's what I mean by it's not a good Mando episode.
Yeah, I think my counter to that would be I feel like that this is sort of like these 3 episodes in the middle are sort of like Mando trying to find his way about what to do now that he's got this kid with him. And like first he tries to hide him, then he's like trying to run away and ends up on Tatooine. Here he's like, okay, I need money, so I'm gonna go back to like this is like the version like I'm going back to college and I'm gonna go hang out with my drinking buddies again. And then he's like, you know what, these are not great guys. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore. And like
I,
you see this as the course of the episode progresses, he's like realize, okay, like I'm in a bad spot. How I get out of it?
I mean, I agree, but my counter to your counter is 2 words or 3 words. The Bad Batch.
Yeah,
Bad Batch was very similar in what they had. They got the child, they needed to find work, and I don't want to say ripped into, but we were not fans of just filler episodes. We were not fans of them doing just odd jobs and bringing the kid along, right? Omega along, and like it's just like, well, why are we here? So that's the only reason why I'm saying it. I'm not saying that there is no purpose of it. There's a purpose, obviously. But when it comes to driving the story along, if this episode was in Andor, we would rank it very low. We'd be like, what was this for? We didn't gain any knowledge from this. We just gained action, which let me tell you, cool action, right? Again, very technically great episode of TV. I just don't think, especially with a first season of a show, I know you're trying to like try different things out, so like it gives it a little bit more leeway, but like at this caliber of show to have all these non-story driven episodes to me in a season, practically half of the season is kind of concerning.
yeah. I will also say, yeah, Max, go ahead.
I kind of feel like in between the two of your points. So I think this episode and some of the other episodes from this season are good in showing you like the point of the Mandalorian to me a little bit was Boba Fett was a really cool character. What if we had a show about Boba Fett doing all the cool things that Boba Fett should have done but never did? And I know there's like a whole plot and good themes throughout the show, but that was at least part of the reason for this show's existence. And I do think like this episode and the episode with the like that jungle planet where he defends the settlement with Gina Torres, like those episodes are good at showing you what this person is capable. And I do think some of the middle episodes, like 4 introduced Gina Torres, and then 5 was
Oh,
Fennec Shand.
Gina Carano.
Some of the
Gina Torres is the Jessica Pierce on Suits.
wait, what's her name then? The
Gina
one who got canceled,
Gina Carano.
Gina Carano. It was it Car is Cara Dune her character's name?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure, so I was saying Gina Torres. Wow, that one's way off. So, but I do kind of I remember watching this season and thinking, yeah, like not a lot happened to advance the plot. Like it was cool, it was very well done, but not a lot happened to advance the plot until the end. I felt like the second season was better, uh, but the first season was a lot of filler. That being said, I still think it's necessary for sort of fleshing out like the universe that he lives in and what this character is capable of so that when he's doing all this stuff in the later episodes, you're like, oh, like this doesn't just come out of nowhere. Um, so I guess I sort of I think I agree with both of you to some extent.
Yeah, I think my counter to that would be also be my point here is like we talk about Boba Fett, where our big complaints is like, oh, this is the crime boss who does no crime. Like here, like this is the guy who's running in bad circles, and we're finally seeing, okay, this is some of what he was doing before he picked up Grogu. So like we're seeing we'll get a background about this character, about some of the things he's been doing, and like he's not exactly the greatest guy in the galaxy before he picks his kid up.
Do you think it would have been they never really I think they never really touch on his former crew again, right? They're just in this episode. They never go back to like what was he doing beforehand. So maybe that would have been a good way, like if in season two or season three they hit on it, it's like, oh, like this has been now been nicely developed. As it stands, it sort of just feels like wow, Mando's really badass and awesome. Look at him fight and like shut the door on the devil horn guy or like stalk people from the ceilings and the vents. Like cool, but I don't know that it advances the plot. But I do think it's still necessary to see that.
So this is like the what if Mandalorian was the Predator episode. This is the way I look at it.
And The Predator is a great movie, which is why I did enjoy the episode. But
Yeah.
I hear Pete's point. Like I think in a certain sense it makes it a good Mandalorian episode, but in another sense I do sort of feel like okay, like what happened? I feel like nothing really like the story didn't move forward. It's just this is really cool.
Yeah. So I want to bring up the guest cast this episode, which I feel like is a stacked guest cast because like we have episodes where like episode two was literally just Pedro Pascal and Nick Nolte. Here you got like you mentioned Rand before, played by Mark Boone Jr. of Sons of Anarchy fame. We talked about Bill Burr already. Natalia Tena is Xi'an, who, Max, fun fact, she is the first actress to be in all of the Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and Star Wars franchises. She's in all three of those.
Who's playing Harry Potter? Who's you playing Game of Thrones?
I don't remember Game of Thrones. I know in Harry Potter, she's Tonks.
Um, Tom's Harry Potter.
Yeah, Pete remembers.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, wait, that's her?
Yes.
Whoa. Okay. I mean, it's hard to tell these people without their makeup, but that
Yeah.
is very interesting.
Plus, you also get Berg is the great Clancy Brown, who is all over the place in Star Wars. He plays Ryder Azadi in Rebels. He voices Savage Opress. Like he has a lot of stuff. So Pete, the guest cast here was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean this was the good cameo season, in my opinion, right? I think season three was like the forced cameo season, and this one was like the good one. I think Bill Burr does a phenomenal job. I think the rest of them do a phenomenal job at not being in your face that it's a cameo, right? They fit right into the Star Wars universe, and you don't bat an eye at it, right? When I saw Bill Burr, even though I love him as a comedian, I wasn't like, oh wow, great, Bill Burr's on the screen. Like this totally takes me out of it. His character matches his personality so well that it's just like seamless right in.
Yeah, also say here, I think Natalia Tanya's character is Xi'an. Like it does feel like she's Star Wars Harley Quinn, but like she is like crazy enough that like it does work for me.
See, Brown is built like a truck. I did not realize that. And he is like I recognize his voice. It's like very deep and booming, but I didn't realize he was such a big guy.
Yeah, he's very physical. Like the makeup makes him look more intimidating than he is when he's Ryder Azadi in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also in Ahsoka. That's pretty
Yeah, he actually voiced Ryder Azadi, and they have him play Ryder Azadi in the actual Ahsoka show.
gotcha. Okay. These are yeah. He was also Liu Tang in well, sorry, Long Feng in Avatar and Savage Opress in Clone Wars. Okay.
He's a fantastic voice actor.
Very, very good.
So having all these people to play with in this episode made it so fun for me.
I do agree with Pete's point that like the first season is not like it's sort of started the second season where you had the cameos, but I felt like they fit well into the story. It's nice to see Mandalorian not just be about, ooh, look at this character, look at this character. I think we've talked on this show before how Star Wars is can kind of be like that sometimes. It's like, look, James Golden Keys, here's like this character A that everyone loves. In the first season of Mandalorian, much like most of Andor, is not really like that. It's characters that you don't know in these new and original settings, and it's actually adding something to the Star Wars lore as opposed to just like, here's this character that we've seen before doing the same thing that we've always seen them do before.
Yeah. I've got a couple more cameos in this episode here. Max, I don't know if you're aware of this, that the Republic officer they run into on the base is played by Matt Lanter, who is the voice of Anakin in Clone Wars. So that's a
I
fun.
did not. They just gunned down Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah. Yeah, so he dies in the episode, and Pete's also well aware that the three X-Wing pilots at the end of the episode are Dave Filoni, Rick Famuyiwa, and Deborah Chow. So like that's their cameo in the season. Then they think they cut. I know Filoni's back a few more times. I think all three of them are in season three when Mando goes to their hangout.
This is pretty cool. Those are pretty cool cameos.
Yeah, Pete, anything else you want to bring about this episode before I throw a few more notes out?
Um, no, it's a badass episode. I'll give it that. As much as I'm I think one thing that stood out for me was Bill Burr making fun of Gungans. I thought that was really funny, especially with the backstory of like him not being a Star Wars fan. I think that was really good. I just think it was a well done episode. It's just unfortunate that like it had nothing to do with the story. I mean, people can argue that it did, but to me, it just didn't. It's like you could delete this episode and the other like three or four, and or the other two or three, and be like, just watch these four, and you still understand what goes on. So that's just my main gripe with it. That's all.
Yeah, Max, let's talk about a little bit about like the action of the episode, which is like they're basically sent on this job to they use Mando's ship because it's not registered in any databases to like break into a New Republic ship. Mando is like, this is not what I signed up for. So he gets dragged into this one. He was trying to hide Grogu, not successfully, gets double crossed halfway through the mission. Then he has to just sort of break himself out and go like badass, like alien predator style, just stalking and hunting down all of his people who turned on him. This was so fun. And we talked about the top of the pod, the shot of when Mayfeld's in the hallway, and then they do the little flashes, and then he's here, he's gone, he's here, he's gone, he's right behind him. Like that's so cool.
Was very, very well done. The artistry and like the red lights that they change it to that because it's like he triggers like the emergency beacon or something. Just all the artistry, all the cinematography. It's very, very well done. And you just like you feel the suspense as he's like crawling his way through the vents, or even when the droid is like searching for Grogu on the ship. Like there's like you're just kind of on the edge of your seats. Also, another fight scene that we skipped over that he like takes out all the droids that are patrolling the hallways.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like one, it's like
I,
sorry, what?
I said I had that as Ninja Mando in my notes.
Ninja Manta. You actually, one cool thing now that I'm thinking about, you get to see like all of his different gadgets. You see the flamethrower, you see the wrist rockets, you see the blaster. He has like those electric sticks. Like you kind of get the full overview of his inventory as he's doing all these fights.
Yeah, Pete, I did think like for action, this was a top-notch episode because we got so much cool action. And it was illustrated very well. The use of the lighting also was very cool.
100%. Cinematography probably for the whole season. This is the one, right? If it was going to win any awards for cinematography, I don't know if it did. So, forgive me if I'm naive to the facts, but yeah, I mean this is the one. I mean, like you said, the Ninja Mando where he disappears and then shows up behind them, and then the whole plan to get back at the crew that like screwed him over with the flashing lights. I mean, that's probably the best shot scene in Mando for the three seasons. I'll just put that out there. Hot take.
I don't think it's a hot take. I think it's probably the coolest looking shot they caught.
Someone online is going to tell me I'm wrong and to go take a walk. So I have to put hot take in there just to save my ass a little bit.
Yeah, I'll also add in here, Max, that like I did love like how methodical Mando is his planning here, where he's come up with all these traps here, and then like at the end when he gets like the brother Twi'lek where he gets Chin back, and basically he's like,
Yeah.
and like Chin's also a piece of shit, where he's like, like you know what, screw my sister, like she's left behind, like I'm getting out of here. So like he basically gets back here, and great job by Mando, just take the tracker and just like basically sell out Rand's crew to the New Republic because he realizes that they completely like fucked him over.
Yeah. No, he is very, very smart. Again, it's I agree with Pete, it doesn't advance the overall plot, but in terms of showing how resourceful and badass he is, it does an awesome job. Also, I forgot that the Mandalorian, he had the Razor Crest in the first two seasons as opposed to the Naboo Starfighter. So I don't know if we like the new ship or the old ship.
I'm still a Razor Crest guy.
Little Razor Crest guy.
Yeah, and I do love that the utility. They do make a point of saying, "Hey, like this ship is like just it's off everybody's record, so we can just use it to be stealthy and sneaky." It explains why he's able to get around so much, not attracting attention.
Yeah. Did remember he did the little like thing that he like takes it off and he gives it back to Goo, and that was like an ongoing thing in the first season.
Yeah,
It's like one of my favorite moments. But yeah, it's nice to see that ship again. I agree. It's like it's different, right? It's not like this like super sleek starfighter. It's like this old junky fighter.
yeah. And Pete, I also did love the rivalry he has with Zero, the droid, who's like basically Rand says he's piloting the ship. We need you on like codebreaker duty. So like you know that he distrusts the droid so much. And I thought it was also a funny psych gag at the end when Grogu's trying to use the Force and Mando shoots it. It just reminds you so much of like that key of Star Wars, where the kid thinks he's using the Force to turn the car on.
Yeah, I have a gripe with that scene. Every other droid he shot with that gun like exploded into pieces in front of it, and then when he shot Zero, it just miraculously nothing touched Grogu. It was just a hole, dead center, fine. I don't know. It was a little bit of continuity for me that was very nitpicky, like very nitpicky. No one else probably even noticed it. But I was just like, okay, so Grogu's fine, even though he shot directly into this man's room. Okay, no problem. But
Yeah,
It's the Force. He's
listen,
protecting himself.
yeah, the rivalry is cool. I mean, the Mando droid thing, is always welcome to me. I like that kind of persona, and I always want to know the backstory behind it. So I think I'm cool with it. I think it added to the scene.
yeah. And Max, do you happen to catch the Kia commercial pun like fake parody like or at least homage like that time around with Grogu like thinking, "Oh, I destroyed the droid," and then no, Mando kill him.
Oh, like the Volkswagen thing where the
Yes,
kid thinks he's turning on the car.
yes, that's
That I didn't think about it at the time, but now that Pete mentions it, yeah, that does ring. That that is like a nice callback.
yeah. I thought as soon as I saw it, I'm like, "Oh, he's doing the Volkswagen thing."
I did not think of it at the time, but it definitely tracks.
Yeah, and of course, I think it was fun to see the directors as the X-wing pilots. I thought it was a fun touch.
You know what's interesting about I think more so than Andor and maybe even later seasons of The Mandalorian is they don't have a ton of dialogue. Like they do have dialogue in this episode, and if I recall correctly, some other episodes, but a lot of it is just like set design and action. And it's just kind of like I don't know, just different. It's you can like it or dislike it. I think it works in some cases, but it does feel like it's not typical of other Star Wars shows or even other episodes in this series. Like it's very action heavy, kind of like silent in a lot of ways.
Yeah, Mando's not a man of many words in this season, Pete.
Not at all. No. And I think that was probably for the best for it because the writing for Disney shows after that has been very spotty. So it may have been by design.
Yeah, I think so. Anything else you guys want to add in this episode before we get to wrapping it up?
No, any other fun facts we're missing?
Yeah, I'll take a quick look at the wiki page here for this episode in terms of what's going on here. So the episode is rated 84% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is interesting. Yeah, I will say,
But
Pretty good though, no?
yeah, that's a pretty good for a solo episode. And we do, yeah, we mentioned here our stuff with Mark Boone Jr., Bill Burr being the two main guest stars here. So I did think that was fun. We also have the Carl Weathers is there as they get the Greek Karga message. We sort of get that tease. You can't hear it fully until the next episode when he's all away from the ship.
by the way, it was nominated by the Visual Effects Society Awards for Outstanding Visual Cinematography. So
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, and apparently the episode also took inspiration from the opening scene of the Western film for a few dollars more. So that was the inspiration of it. And they said that the Mando sequence they viewed it as Mando Batman was the way they were looking at him trying to get all his guys.
I could see
It
that.
tracks.
I thought Predator based on the lighting, but Batman also tracks. All right.
I'd say Predator more, or like Alien, but where the Preacher hunting everyone is a good guy.
Yep. All right, let's go now to our MVP, LVP board. He's the best and worst of the Mandalorian season one, as ranked by us over the first 5 episodes of the season. Our leaders on the board here at the top, Mando, Queel, and Palimato are all at +3 on top of the board. The Cobra as a whole is at +2. Our plus ones are Paz Vizsla, Grogu, Cara Dune, and Omera. Our negative ones, Grief Karga, the Mythrol from the pilot, IG-11, the Walker pilot from the Sanctuary episode, got one from me, and Chris Percy unless he gave Dave Filoni LEP for writing that episode, and he hated the what's the title of that one, Pete? Oh, the Gunslinger.
Yeah, I think so.
You got a -1 for that. -2s for Dr. Pershing, the Guild, and Toro Calican, and the Jawas episode 2, -4, bringing up the rear here. So that's the board.
Grogu get the +1 for the second episode as the MVP.
Yeah, Nick gave it to him.
Okay, that's what I thought.
All right, so now we're gonna go to the MVP ratings this next year. Nick sent his stuff in though, so he did give it the MVP to Mando for the week, which makes sense. Max, you concur.
Yeah,
P, is this a clean sweep on Mando getting the MVP?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he kicked ass this episode. All right, the LVPs. Max, where are you going here?
a good question. Um, you know what? I think the Rand squad I would also say is LVPs, but do you want me to pick a specific one of them?
You think they all suck? You can just say Team Rand and just call it that.
Call it Team Rand. If you know what if I had to pick one of them though, I would pick Berg. That's Clancy Brown's character, right?
Yeah.
Because he is like all the other ones, the Mandalorian, just he sneaks up on them, he takes them down. He is the one that puts up the strongest fight, and yet somehow he cannot beat the Mandalorian. I feel like he had the best odds and he still lost. So I would give him the LVP, but I think that whole team got slaughtered.
So I give it to. Do you want to give it to Berg?
I'll give it to Berg. I'll give it to Berg just to be a little bit different.
All right. I'm going to give it to Rand here for being a complete imbecile in terms of like not checking like that Mando was going to screw him because he's like sort of like, "Oh, hey, like I was going to kill you and screw you." And like, "Hey, you're back. Okay, here's your money. Go, bye." And like he waits like he has a whole army of squads that says wait till he leaves or shoot him. Like very stupid planning from Rand. He ends up getting his job like sort of taken from him there. Pete.
I'm gonna say the droids. I just feel like all the droids in that episode are pretty bad.
I'll give Max another point for the Berg thing here. When Berg shoots the mouse droid and basically unleashes all the other droids on them, like that's also LP worthy.
He does do that.
All right. And Nick gave it to Team Rand as a whole. He just thinks they all were bad at their jobs.
That's reasonable.
P, I'm gonna loop you in as just zero as I give you his thing because
Sure.
because I feel like zero not being able to outlast a baby is a problem.
Yeah, I mean even the droids on the prisoner ship were terrible.
Yeah. All right. I'll give you droids as a whole.
Sure.
All right. Now we'll grade the episode on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is worse than 978 Holiday Special. 10 is out there the Gorman arc of Andor. There's the pinnacle of Star Wars content here. I'm giving this episode an 8. I really had a lot of fun with this episode. I think the action was great. I think it does some good character work from Mando himself, sort of getting into that place of, okay, I can't be like running with criminals anymore when I'm responsible for a kid, and like gets him in the right headspace to be a better father for Grogu, something we complained about over the course of this series. And I think good job setting us up here and giving you the little teases for stuff coming later on here. Pete?
I have to disagree. I'm giving this a 5. It's down the middle for me because I think it's a great episode of TV, but literally this episode means nothing. And a lot of people may come at me for that, but it means nothing. The whole mission comes down to everyone getting killed anyway, and him just getting out of the space to get the Grief Karga message. If, like I said, if someone told me what episode can I skip in this season and it will not affect me at all, it would be this episode and the last episode for sure. So it's down the middle. Five is not bad. It's average. It's just the only reason why it's so high for me is because it's a great episode of TV, but it has nothing to do with the story. Nothing.
I'll also clarify, you not kill them. You left them all in the prison.
Sure, but all right, so I take it back. He didn't kill everyone. He didn't technically kill the X-Wings, blew up the thing, but like all the people that had to do anything with the show, this episode, like it doesn't matter. He did everything for it to just be I'm locked up or I'm dead or whatever. So it just to me, it's I don't want to say a waste because it's fun, it's cool, but it's kind of a waste to drive the story along. So I'll give it down the middle of five.
All right. Nick gave it a 7.5. And he comes back on the podcast asking about this. Max, what's your grade?
So give it an 8. I agree with Pete that it doesn't necessarily advance the story, but it's a lot of fun to watch. And as far as establishing just the capabilities of Mando as a character and as a fighter, I do think it is important. Um, and it's just fun. It's well shot. I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time, and I've seen the whole show, and I still thought it was super duper suspenseful to go through it. So just a well done episode. I give it an
I mean, I'll throw it again. Like the visual from this episode here, like this shot alone, like got like Brazy like 2 points for me.
8.
The shot of Mando like right behind Bill Burr.
I will say because we've had this discussion before, and I'll put it out to the listeners, to the viewers, to you guys as well. If we're gonna base a grade for a show episode upon how cool it was, a lot of other episodes from other shows like Book of Boba Fett, Acolyte would have a lot higher ratings. There was a lot of cool scenes in the Acolyte, but because of the writing and the story, we gave it a low score. So what I would say is let's be mindful of does it look cool versus how good of a Mandalorian episode it is. That's kind of how I'm going. And again, I pose that to the viewers as well. Let me know in the comments. You can tell me to take a walk as you probably would, but it's important to have a storyline in an episode and don't get half a season that literally progresses the story nowhere. We've seen it in other Disney Star Wars shows before, and that's why I'm so adamant about this.
All right, so that's a good place to leave it here. Max, any final thoughts?
I was just gonna say, I think that's a fair point. The counter I would make is it's not just, oh, this looks cool, oh, it's wow, look at the visuals. I think it's how does that all come together, right? And part of that is the writing, it's the design, it's the pacing. I think this episode does a lot of that very, very well. Do I think that it's a filler episode? Absolutely. Do I think that it's still good even with that because all those elements work? Yes. And just because like there's maybe one episode of The Acolyte that I liked, and I don't just like it because it looks cool. It was like the lightsaber duel episode. It was very nicely paced. It was very well done, and I think this episode had those same elements here. So I just want to make that distinction between it's a cool looking episode versus it's a well made episode, even if it doesn't advance the story.
Yeah, that was also the only good episode of The Acolyte.
It was the only good episode of The Acolyte, but it was a good episode. It was a good TV episode.
It was. And that's it for this week. Next week, we'll cover chapter 7, The Reckoning, as we're getting close to the end of season 1 of The Mandalorian. I know Pete liked that one a lot more.
A lot more.
Yep.
A lot more.
All right, we'll talk more about that next week. Max, thanks again for coming on here. Really appreciate you dropping by.
Of course, always happy to come back. And keep me in mind when you're doing KOTOR 2 or any other content.
Yeah, we'll keep that in mind as well here. Pete, if you want to follow you on social media, how can I do that?
At Conti29 on Twitter, CONSY29, AP Tower 308 posted this background on Reddit. Make sure you check him out.
Yep, you can also follow me on social media, mphillips331. That's MPHILIPS 331. You can also follow us on the Sky Guys Podcast at Sky Guys Podcast on social media platforms. You can email us, skyguyspod@gmail.com. That's it for us this week. We'll be back next week. We're going to be covering Chapter 7 of The Mandalorian. But until then, may the Force be with you.